Ladies and gentlemen, and every other beautiful individual and entity, my name is MaximumAustin, and today we're going to talk about COPPA and that all the fun that it just brought, all the happiness that it just brings in. It's like Santa coming early, except it's not Santa. So anyway, if you haven't heard it by now, the Federal Trade Commission in the United States, the FTC, they have came into an agreement with YouTube where that. Okay, let me start from the beginning. In the beginning, if you've been on YouTube for a while, you probably know that kids content and content featuring and made for kids has always been a thing. And I think by 2019, we know now that a lot of kids consume YouTube as like one of their big sources for online entertainment and just entertainment in general. And it's a pretty big market. Here's how that could all potentially could go away. So the FTC of the United States, the Federal Trade Commission, they work with all sorts of communication outlets, making sure that there's certain regulations and rules that these big communicators, not like you or me, but more like companies like Google and Apple, and they usually work in unison to craft some rules in order to make sure that people are safe and people's rights aren't being violated or stuff like that. There was a bill of law called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA, that was originally drafted in 1998 that sort of served as a outlier for how data can be collected, from what I understand, on the internet. Websites and website owners can and can't do when it comes to the information or the presence of minors, children under 13, on the internet. As we fast forward to now, YouTube has been collecting data from minors via cookies and other things whenever they click on a video, gaining all the information so that they can use make money, use targeted advertising, and to make to appease the algorithm in order to keep them watching. YouTube said to the FTC, from what I understand, I could be getting this wrong. YouTube said to the YouTube said to the FTC that we're not collecting data on children, but it was revealed like over the course of like this past 12 months that they were, and the FTC said that's a big no-no. You cannot do that. From what I understand, YouTube kind of lied to their faces, and YouTube and the FTC had a big settlement, and Google paid the FTC a sum of like almost $200 million, and they said that they would comply to the FTC's rules for directing to making sure the information of children isn't being gathered on certain videos. So fast forward to now, YouTube has agreed to comply with COPPA and are willing to work with COPPA. The FTC. What am I even saying anymore? I'm so distraught. They're asking channel owners and content creators to mark whether or not their channel and specific videos are for kids or not for kids. There are two issues with this. If you're a kids channel, supposedly, and you mark your video as for kids, your video and channel, they're not going to come up in the search engine. You're going to make 90% less ad revenue. You're going to make You're not going to have a comment section. You're not going to use the community tab, I don't think. All these other stuff that make your YouTube video searchable, you're not going to get it anymore. It won't be in your notifications. It won't be in your users' notifications or subscription feeds, from what I understand. So that's a problem. Like, it's going to kill a lot of kids' content or kid-specific channels. On the other flip side, though, many creators are bringing up the possibility of accidentally being flagged as for kids. Like, okay, what does the FTC in this new agreement, what do they consider being exclusively for kids? That's where a lot of people are kind of losing their mind, because if you look at the original draft of COPPA, which was drafted back in 1998, mind you, it has things like, I don't have it up right now, but like stories, fast colors, video games, toys, cartoons, animations of any kind. Like a lot of stuff that I obviously like, and if you're watching this video or subscribe to my channel, you might like as well. So the worry really comes down to as like where's the line? Like how am I not going to be flagged? And this is a big issue. Oh, and I failed to bring this up because failure to comply with these rules, or from how I understand it, if you make enough misflagged videos and misflag them as such, you could be fined up to $42,000 per video. Yep. So obviously that's another thing to be really worried about, because obviously that can ruin a lot of people's livelihoods. So that's the reason why a lot of people are sort of freaking out, and I think most of it is justifiably so. I just wanted to give a video on my thoughts somehow. Maybe I'll have something playing in the background like Fortnite or something just to be funny, because I'm that kind of person. My thoughts on this whole thing, even like I said, even though I think people are reacting appropriately, I think there's a lot of confusion, and I think there's a lot of overreacting to this whole thing. First off, COPPA isn't going to go away. It's going to stick around. It was originally going to be redrafted in 2023, so that's a 25-year-old gap between the version of the law everyone's looking at, now being in 1998 to 2023. So, laws get updated as technology and the times change. But this whole thing with YouTube collecting data on minors, it kind of sped up the process. Like, oh, we better revise it now, which I get. I get why COPPA exists, and I understand why we have these laws in place. And I get it. This isn't so much anything regarding ElsaGate from like a few years back. This isn't really having to do much with like online predators getting information on children in like YouTube specifically. Maybe there's a little bit of that, but I don't think that's the big worry or the big reason as to why the FTC is doing this. Again, if I'm getting anything wrong, just let me know. I don't mean to misinform people or make light of serious subject matter. People are worried, like these fines and repercussions could ruin people's livelihoods, especially on my latter issue of being flagged as being for kids when it was not intended to be as such. I hope I'm making sense. I'm not reading from a script. I'm scared. It's really scary, but should we be concerned about it? Well, yeah. I'm not a legal expert by any means. I'm not even that big of a YouTuber, but I just wanted to maybe create this video as a hub for like, oh, here are the responses I looked at. A legal expert by any means. I'm not even that big of a YouTuber, but I just wanted to maybe create this video as a hub for like, oh, here are the responses I looked at. People like Chadtronic, Pixel Dan, Lockstin, GNoggin, Jim Sterling made one, if I haven't referenced him yet, be a hub of these different explanations. Jim Sterling was kind of on the whole situation, saying like, kids don't even like, that's not even how his accent works, but saying kids don't even like me, like, and gave some interesting sort of reasons as to why he shouldn't be worried about it as much compared to other YouTube events that we all like to compare this to. Caddicarus, Jim Caddick, he made a video pretty much saying like his views on the situation. I'll put a link to all these down in the description, but I think the main thing I want to convey to the second big thing is that share the information I've gotten and the experiences I've had with this new change, because there are some smaller ones that already happened. One being that before YouTube brought up the option to label your channel as being for kids or not for kids, they marked some of my videos as being for kids, and I would like to share that share this information for you on what videos they were. First off, I can't even remember. I should have screenshotted some of these. But it was like Steven Universe stuff and toy unboxings and that I used to do. But it was like on specifically several Steven Universe stuff, which is odd. Which obviously, if you know by now, maybe not. It's a cartoon. It has a large adult. It has a large adult fan base, but people from the FTC can easily look at that and say, "That's for kids, you sicko," or it's not like that. It was more largely like merchandise unboxings and a little cartoon I did using assets from the show. The thing about that, I didn't make those exclusively for kids. I know that's a genre that's really popular with kids on YouTube, but I did it just to showcase some merchandise from a show I really like that doesn't get a whole lot of merchandise, and have fun, crack jokes, that sort of thing. I think I did like 2 or 3, I can't remember. And the one cartoon animation I did, I used PNG assets from the show and I edited it in Premiere, and it features a lot of like, nothing inappropriate, but it's like this bizarre humor, and I made it out of one joke, and that's basically like, Steven, I'm leaving and I'm taking the kids with me, and making the one character go crazy and explode. Like, that's the one joke I made that video out of one joke. It's a one joke video, and it's really bizarre. Like, I posted it to Tumblr and people were like, "What even is?" But I don't really know what to expect now. I can tell you from my audience, from what I can tell from the data, a lot of my audience is like, they're like anywhere from like 18 to 35. And that's good because technically that's the legal definition of adult, above 18. So I understand that there might be people younger and people older that watch them, and that's fine. They're just not the majority. I think I'm going to be okay. But obviously, it's up to the FTC to make that decision. So I'm really hoping that they do notice that, oh, I'm making these things for like people my age, maybe a little bit younger, a little bit older, because I'm not making slime videos. I'm not making everything I make is are for like teenagers and young adults like my age. So hopefully they can see this and not lose their brains and decide that, oh, you're targeting children with this. I guess we'll keep an open mind and see what happens next. I love making online video. I love the medium of online video, not so much the platform of YouTube, which stinks because I think for all the ill will and bad things that happen on here, and there's a lot, I think online video deserves to exist, and we can make something great with it. I wouldn't go so far as to delete my whole channel at this time. I know other people are feeling that, and that's up to them, and I don't discredit them. I don't disapprove of that, because with those fines and that possibility being likely as it is, and the fines being so severe, it's very frightening, and I understand that fully. So, I guess we'll have to wait and see come January, and hopefully this can maybe blow over a bit. Like, come middle of January, we'll be like, oh, like most of us will be like, oh, that wasn't that bad. Unless you're like actual kids channels that legitimately like exploit children and get their data on them and want to get their data on them. So you should be worried, and you should just screw off. And a part of me kind of laments something, not those channels, but another thing that I want to share is that I think there's a place for like kids under 13 to use the internet. Obviously, it has to be strictly parentally guided, and obviously there needs to be safety and thought and educational merit to be put into it. I think there's a place and there's an opportunity to enrich kids and to help them understand the internet. This tool that they'll be using for most likely in their adult life. So maybe we can find something that's safe and maybe educational, can help them out somehow, some way. No, maybe, I don't know. So those are my thoughts on COPPA. Myself, I'm not super worried about it, but I am gonna take precautions. Probably gonna download all my videos that I have on the internet, just as a backup. Maybe delete some that aren't that good, clean up the channel a bit, which I probably should have done anyway, regardless of COPPA coming into existence or not. So anywho, what are your thoughts on COPPA? Do you think it's the end of YouTube? Do you think it's not a big deal? Hey, you're always welcome to leave a comment down below and see if I got anything wrong, or just tell me what you think. So anywho, I think that's it for now. I'm MaximumAustin, and until next time, always remember to keep being confident, and you enjoy your day.